The phone buzzed on the counter again. I didn't look at it right away. I was rinsing a coffee mug that had gone cold, watching the foam slide down the drain. The vibration kept going, soft but impatient, like it was trying not to be noticed. She glanced at it from the doorway. Probably work, she said too quickly. Already walking past me. Already reaching for her coat. It was Sunday. No meetings. No emergencies. She'd told me that twice over breakfast, unprompted. I dried my hands slowly. The house smelled like burnt toast and her citrus perfume, the one she only wore when she was running errands. Not the grocery store scent. The other one. She stopped near the door and checked her reflection in the hallway mirror. Adjusted her hair. Smoothed her jacket like someone was about to see her up close. Back later, she said. Not asking. Not waiting. The door clicked shut. I stood there longer than I needed to. The mug sat upside down on the towel, a thin crack in the glaze I hadn't noticed before. Or maybe I had and just ignored it. That was kind of the theme lately. Little things piling up. Schedule changes. New passwords. Phone always face down, always silent, except for moments like that, when it forgot I was in the room. I didn't follow her. I didn't check her phone. I didn't do anything dramatic. I just stood there and replayed the last few weeks like surveillance footage. The late dinners that never came home in containers. The way she'd started calling me Bud, once, then laugh like it was a joke. The name she almost said out loud one night before correcting herself mid-sentence. And the way she kept asking about my work deadlines. My travel schedule. Whether I'd be home next Friday. I sat at the kitchen table and finally looked at my own phone. A message from her, already sent even though she'd just left. Running behind. Don't wait up. I set the phone down without replying. Outside, her car pulled away. I listened to the engine fade, counting the seconds like that meant something. I wasn't clueless. I just wasn't ready to say it out loud yet. Not until I was sure. By the time she came back that night, I'd already made dinner. Not anything special. Pasta. Jar sauce. The kind of meal that says normal evening without trying too hard. I plated hers first, the way I always did. Muscle memory is stubborn like that. She noticed. Wow, she said, slipping off her shoes. Didn't know you were cooking tonight. I shrugged. You said you'd be late. Figured you'd be hungry. Her smile flickered, just a beat too slow before it settled back into place. She washed her hands longer than usual. Checked her phone while the water ran. Then again while she sat down. I didn't ask where she'd been. We ate mostly in silence. Forks clinking. The hum of the fridge. Every now and then she'd glance up at me, like she was checking whether I'd changed shape or grown teeth. So, she said finally, twirling noodles she didn't eat. Anything interesting happened today? I met her eyes. Held them a second longer than necessary. No, I said. Pretty quiet. She relaxed into her chair. Just a little. Enough that I noticed. That's when it hit me. How often she'd been checking my temperature lately. Tossing out casual questions, watching my reactions, calibrating. Like I was part of a system she needed to manage. After dinner, she carried her plate to the sink and left it there. Didn't rinse it. Another small thing. Another crack. She went to shower. Took her phone with her. I sat on the couch and stared at the dark TV screen. My reflection ghosted over the room. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Mostly I felt quiet. Alert. Like I'd stepped into a room where something had already happened and everyone else knew about it. Her phone buzzed from the bathroom counter. Once. Then again. I didn't move at first. I just listened to the shower run. Thought about how many times I'd defended her to friends. How many times I'd told myself I was being paranoid. The buzzing stopped. A minute later, it started again. Longer this time. I stood up. I didn't unlock it. Didn't need to. The screen lit up just enough. A name I didn't recognize. A message preview cut off mid-sentence. Next week works. Just let me know when. That was it. No emojis. No jokes. Just logistics. I set the phone back exactly where it had been and sat down again before she came out. My heart was steady, which surprised me more than anything else. She walked into the living room wrapped in a towel, hair damp, face flushed. Looked at me like she was searching for something wrong. You okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. Why? She hesitated, then smiled. You're just quiet. I smiled back. Long day. She nodded like that answered something for her. Later, in bed, she turned away from me almost immediately. Left a careful gap between us, like a boundary she'd drawn without asking. In the dark, I stared at the ceiling and replayed that message over and over. Next week works. Not "I miss you." Not "I can't wait." Just timing. That was when I realized she wasn't being reckless. She thought she was managing me. And she thought I wasn't paying attention. The next few days slid by in this weird, suspended calm. On the surface, nothing changed. We still shared coffee in the mornings. Still talked about groceries, bills, some shows she half-watched while scrolling. If someone had walked into our house, they would have thought we were fine. Boring, even. But everything felt staged. She started narrating her day more than usual. Over-explaining things I hadn't asked about. Lunch ran late. Traffic was awful. Ended up staying longer because everyone wanted to talk. Each sentence landed like a marker being placed on a map I hadn't requested. I noticed how often she mentioned next week. Next week was busy. Next week, she might travel. Next week, things would calm down. She said it casually, but her eyes always checked my face afterward, like she was waiting for a reaction she didn't get. I gave her none. Instead, I started paying attention to details I'd brushed off before. Her calendar, suddenly private. Laundry done separately. A new charger in her car, still wrapped when she thought I wasn't looking. One night, she laughed at something on her phone and tilted the screen away from me at the same time. Not dramatically. Practiced. Like she'd done it 100 times already. Funny, I asked. Just a work thing, she said too fast. Then added, you wouldn't care. That line stuck with me. Not you wouldn't understand. Not it's boring. You wouldn't care. It sounded like something she'd already proven. Friday came. Then Saturday. She suggested dinner with friends I barely knew. Sat across from me at the restaurant, checking her phone under the table. I watched the reflection of the screen in her wine glass. When we got home, she went straight to the bedroom and closed the door. I didn't follow. Instead, I opened my laptop at the kitchen table. The same spot where we'd planned trips, argued about paint colors, laughed over dumb videos. I didn't rage scroll. I didn't spiral. I just lined things up. Dates. Times. Patterns. Messages she'd sent me that didn't match when she said she was stuck somewhere. Receipts emailed to our shared account that told a slightly different story. Not proof. Just enough that if someone else told me this story, I'd nod slowly and say, yeah, that tracks. Around midnight, she came out, calmer than she'd been all week. You still up? She asked. Yeah. She leaned against the counter, close but not touching. Her voice softened, like she was easing into a negotiation. I might be out a bit more next week, she said. Things are kind of shifting. I looked at her then. Really looked. She wasn't nervous. She was relieved. Like she was already past the hard part and just waiting for me to play my role. That's so, I said. She nodded. I just don't want you blindsided. I almost laughed. Instead, I said, I appreciate that. Her shoulders dropped. Just a fraction. She smiled like she'd won something. That night, after she fell asleep, I stayed awake, staring at the glow of the streetlight through the blinds. I wasn't angry yet, but I was done pretending this was something happening to me. Whatever she thought next week would bring, she was very confident I wouldn't interfere. That confidence was the most interesting part of all. Monday morning, she left earlier than usual. Didn't wake me. Didn't kiss my cheek. Just the soft click of the door and the sound of her car starting while the sky was still gray. I lay there longer than I should have, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle. There was a time that sound meant comfort. Now it felt like a reminder that I was the only one still fully in it. When I finally got up, her side of the bed was already cold. On the dresser, she'd left her watch behind. That never happened. She treated that thing like it was fused to her wrist. Checked her steps. Logged everything. Once, she'd gone back home from a restaurant just to grab it. I picked it up, turning it over in my hand. The screen lit up. Notifications. A few unread. I didn't scroll. I didn't need to. The timestamp was enough. Messages sent and received while she'd told me she was asleep the night before. I set the watch back down exactly where it had been. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. At work, I couldn't focus. Not because I was spiraling, but because everything suddenly felt clarified. Like when you realize the sound you've been hearing isn't the house settling. It's a leak. You stop guessing. You start locating. Around noon, I checked our shared calendar. The one we used for bills and appointments and family stuff. She hadn't deleted anything. Just added a few vague entries. Out. Dinner. Late. Thursday had a full block marked off. No label. Just time. That afternoon, she texted me for the first time all day. Crazy busy. Don't wait up again. Again. I replied with a thumbs up. Nothing else. She liked the message. Not hearted. Just liked. That night, she was unusually affectionate. Sat close to me on the couch. Asked about my day. Laughed at a joke I didn't think was funny. Her hand rested on my arm like it belonged there. Like she was reminding herself of something. You've been really understanding lately, she said. I kept my eyes on the TV. About what? She paused. Just a hair too long. About everything. I nodded. I get it. People change. She studied my face, searching for an edge, a crack, anything sharp. Found nothing. Later, when she went to bed early, I stayed up. Not plotting. Not fantasizing. Just waiting. On Wednesday, the waiting paid off. I was putting groceries away when her phone lit up on the counter. She'd left it there for once. Must have been distracted. Must have thought she was safe. A name popped up. One I still didn't recognize. The message preview wasn't cut off this time. Did you tell him yet? I need to plan. I didn't touch the phone. Didn't unlock it. Just stood there, reading those 7 words over and over until they lost their shape. Did you tell him yet? Not are you okay? Not is he suspicious? Just yet. That was the moment it stopped being theoretical. She came into the kitchen and froze when she saw me standing there. What's wrong? She asked. I held up a bag of apples. These okay, or did you want the other kind? Relief washed over her face so fast, it almost hurt to watch. Those are fine, she said, laughing softly. You scared me for a second. I smiled. Did I? That night, lying next to her, listening to her breathing even out, I made a quiet decision. I wasn't going to confront her yet. Not because I was afraid. Because she still thought she was in control. And I wanted to see how far she'd take that belief. Thursday came faster than I expected. She woke up in a good mood. Too good. Humming while she got dressed. Standing in the doorway asking if a jacket looked better zipped or open, like it mattered. Big day. I asked, pouring coffee. She shrugged. Just meetings. Might grab dinner after. With coworkers? She hesitated. Just a flicker. Yeah, probably. I nodded. Have fun. She leaned over and kissed my cheek. Light. Careful. Like she didn't want to smudge anything. When the door closed behind her, I didn't move for a long time. The coffee went untouched. The house felt louder than usual. Every tick and creak suddenly amplified. I hadn't planned to follow her. That wasn't who I wanted to be. But something about that vague block on the calendar kept gnawing at me. The unlabeled time. The confidence. The yet. So I waited an hour. Then I grabbed my keys. I didn't drive fast. I didn't rush. I took the same routes I always did, past the same stores, blended into the rhythm of a normal weekday evening. Her car wasn't at work. I checked anyway. Drove past the building. Empty spot where she usually parked. No sign of her. My chest tightened. Not panic, not rage. More like pressure. Like I was stepping into the last room of a house I already knew the layout of. I pulled into a side street and waited. 10 minutes later, her car turned the corner. I followed at a distance I'd learned from years of city driving. 2 cars back. Then 3. Enough to feel invisible. She didn't go far. A restaurant. Mid-range. Not fancy, not casual. The kind of place people choose when they want privacy, but not secrecy. Neutral territory. I parked across the street. She was already smiling when she walked in. That hurt more than I expected. Through the window, I saw her slide into a booth. A man joined her a minute later. Older than me. Confident posture. Familiar with the space. They leaned in. Not touching. Comfortable. Like they'd done this before. I didn't go inside. I didn't need to hear what they said. Their body language told me enough. This wasn't new. This was ongoing. I sat there for almost an hour, hands on the steering wheel, watching the light inside shift as people came and went. At one point, she laughed and reached across the table, stopping just short of contact. A near touch. Deliberate. My phone buzzed. A text from her. Running late. Might stay out. Don't wait up. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. I didn't reply. I drove home slowly, every mile settling something inside me. Not breaking it. Setting it. When she finally came back, it was after midnight. I was sitting at the kitchen table, the same spot as always. No lights on except the one above me. She stopped short when she saw me. You scared me, she said again. Same words as before. Different tone. Long day, I asked. She nodded, setting her bag down. Yeah. Exhausting. She started to say more, then stopped. Watched my face. Calculated. You didn't text back? She added lightly. I was busy, I said. She relaxed. Just a little. Went to the fridge. Poured water. Drank too fast. Everything okay? She asked. I folded my hands on the table. Calm. Steady. Yeah, I said. I was just thinking about next week. She froze. Not dramatically. Not like in the movies. Just enough that the glass hovered midair, water sloshing slightly over the rim. What about it? She asked. I looked up at her then. Met her eyes fully for the first time in days. I was thinking, I said evenly. You should probably let him know you'll be free next week. The color drained from her face. I'll handle the divorce papers. The glass slipped from her hand and hit the counter, water spilling everywhere. She stared at me, eyes wide, voice barely a whisper. Wait, what? She didn't sit down. She didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't do any of the things I'd imagined during those long, quiet nights. She just stood there, gripping the edge of the counter like it might move if she let go. What are you talking about? She asked finally. Too evenly. Too controlled. I stayed seated, hands still folded. The spilled water crept toward the edge of the counter and dripped onto the floor between us. I'm talking about Thursday dinners, I said. And next week. And the way you've been checking my reactions like you're testing a thermostat. Her mouth opened, then closed again. You followed me? She asked. I shook my head. No. You led. That landed harder than I expected. Her shoulders sagged just a little, like something internal had given out. This isn't what you think, she said automatically. The words sounded preloaded. Practiced. I waited. She kept going anyway. I was going to tell you. I just needed time. Things have been complicated. You've been distant. I didn't even know if you still. I raised a hand, not aggressively, just enough to pause her. I'm not here to debate, I said. I'm here to be clear. She stared at me, searching for anger, for shouting, for something she could push against. I gave her none of it. So that's it, she asked. You just decided? I nodded. A while ago. Her eyes filled then. Not with tears yet. With shock. With the realization that the timeline she'd been working on had collapsed. You were supposed to be clueless, she said before she could stop herself. The room went very still. I didn't react right away. Just let the sentence sit there between us, fully formed. Yeah, I said quietly. I know. She sank into the chair across from me like her legs finally gave up. Pressed her palms into her eyes. This wasn't supposed to happen like this, she whispered. I leaned back. How was it supposed to happen? She shook her head, breathing uneven now. I don't know. I thought maybe you'd be angry, or suspicious, or that I'd have more time. Time for what? She didn't answer. Outside, a car passed. Somewhere a dog barked. The world kept going, completely uninterested in our kitchen standoff. So what now? She asked finally, voice hoarse. I stood up then, slow and deliberate. Walked to the drawer where we kept paperwork. Not hidden. Never had been. I pulled out a folder and set it on the table between us. What now? I said. Is that we stop pretending. She stared at the folder like it might bite. You already did this? She asked. I prepared, I said. There's a difference. Her face crumpled then, tears finally spilling over. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady. I didn't think you had it in you, she said. That one almost made me smile. I didn't either, I admitted. Turns out I was wrong. She looked up at me, eyes red, searching again, this time for mercy. I didn't give her that either. Not because I was cruel, because I was done being managed. She didn't touch the folder, just stared at it like it was evidence someone else had dropped on our table by mistake. I can't just sign this, she said. Her voice was smaller now. Careful. We need to talk. We owe each other that. I leaned against the counter. We've been talking for weeks. You just didn't realize it. She wiped her face with the heel of her hand, smearing mascara she hadn't bothered to remove yet. Another detail I clocked without comment. You didn't even ask who he is, she said. There was a challenge in it. A last attempt to regain footing. I know enough, I replied. She laughed then. A sharp, brittle sound. You think you do. I didn't argue. I didn't need to. Arguments are for people still negotiating outcomes. This isn't fair, she said suddenly. The words came out louder. Desperate. You're acting like you've already grieved this. Like I don't get a say. I looked at her for a long moment before answering. You've had a say, I said. You've been using it. Every time you decided what I should and shouldn't know. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her eyes darted to the hallway, the bedroom, the door, calculating exits. Scenarios. Is this about control? She asked. Is that what this is? You trying to punish me? I shook my head. No. This is me opting out. That seemed to confuse her more than anger would have. She pushed the folder away slightly, like she was testing whether it would push back. So you're just done, she said. No counseling. No pause. No chance to fix it. I thought about the watch on the dresser. The unlabeled calendar block. The message that said yet. I don't want to fix something I wasn't breaking, I said. Her shoulders slumped. The fight drained out of her all at once. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. That's usually how it goes, I said. Not unkindly. She looked up at me then, really looked. Like she was seeing a version of me she hadn't planned for. You're so calm, she said. It's unsettling. I nodded. I had time. She swallowed hard. And him. That's your situation to manage now, I said. Not mine. The silence stretched. Finally, she reached for the folder. Her fingers hovered over it, trembling. You already told him, didn't you? She asked. No, I said. But you will. She looked up, confused. Why? I met her eyes. Because I won't lie for you. And because next week is coming whether you're ready or not. She let out a shaky breath and opened the folder. The sound of paper sliding felt louder than it should have. In that moment, watching her read, I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty in a clean, quiet way. Like a room after furniture's been moved out. Not comfortable yet. But finally honest. She didn't sign anything that night. She closed the folder carefully, like the pages might bruise, and pushed it back toward me with both hands. I need time, she said. Her voice was steady again, but it sounded borrowed. Like she'd picked it up from someone else's life. I nodded. That's fine. She blinked. That's it. That's it. I wasn't going to chase her down a hallway with deadlines. I wasn't going to threaten or bargain. I'd already stepped off that track. She stood up slowly and walked toward the bedroom, then stopped. Are you sleeping out here? She asked, gesturing vaguely at the couch. For now, I said. She hesitated, like she wanted to argue, then seemed to remember she no longer had the authority. The bedroom door closed softly. I stayed at the table long after the house went quiet again, not replaying the conversation, not imagining alternate endings, just sitting with the reality of it settling in my body. Around 2 a.m, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stared at it for a while before answering. Not curious, just ready. Hello. There was a pause on the other end. Breathing. Male. Hi, the voice said. This is... I don't know how to say this. I think we need to talk. I almost smiled. About next week? I asked. Silence. Then a sharp inhale. She told you, he said. She didn't have to, I replied. I was already there. Another pause. Longer this time. I didn't know she was still, he started. I cut him off. I don't need explanations. What do you want then? I thought about that for a moment. Really thought about it. I want you to hear this clearly, I said. I'm stepping away. Whatever story you were told, whatever timeline you were working with, it's yours now. I won't interfere. I won't cover. And I won't be involved. He exhaled slowly. Okay. That's all, I said. When I hung up, my hands were still steady. The next morning, she looked wrecked. Like she hadn't slept at all. Sat across from me at the table, wrapped in a hoodie, staring at her coffee like it had personally betrayed her. He called you, she said quietly. Yes. She winced. I didn't plan for that. I know. You're not angry? She asked, finally looking up. I searched for the honest answer. I said. Earlier. Now I'm just finished. She nodded slowly, absorbing that like a diagnosis. Later that day, she packed a bag. Not everything. Just enough to make the point. At the door, she stopped again. You're really not going to fight for this, she said. Not accusing. Almost curious. I shook my head. I already fought. You just didn't notice. She left. The house felt bigger afterward. Echoey, but not hollow. That evening, I opened the windows and let the air move through the rooms. Threw out the cold coffee. Put the mug with the cracked glaze back in the cupboard instead of the trash. Some things don't need to be fixed, to be honest. And some endings don't arrive with shouting. They arrive quietly, once everyone stops pretending.